And so we're talking to Stuart in Texas. Hi, Stuart. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. How may we help you?
Well, I got a little bit of a tricky situation. I've been married for 10, going on 11 years, and we've had a fairly great marriage. We started off as limerence. No doubt. There's no doubt that we started off as limerence, but we were both single, and the option to get in a relationship or to develop into a relationship was viable. So we did, and we've had a great marriage. We're not the types to fight and yell and have these knockdown, drag out fights and stuff. We're pretty good about talking reasonably and keeping our cool and stuff like that. Well, anyway, over the last year, we bought a house a year ago, and we've had some trying times with that because we basically gutted it and we're remodeling it entirely ourselves.
Wow.
And so doing that, takes me out of the current house that we live in and leaves her with a lot of things to do and this and that on a daily basis. And so anyway, long story short, there have been some things that have caused our marriage to or not necessarily our marriage, but caused us to drift apart just a little bit. And well, anyway, a coworker that she was friends with, they started to talk a little bit more, and I told her, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Everybody needs friends. But then it started to get longer and longer, and to the point where she was spending a couple hours a night or more talking on Facebook Messenger to this person. And so anyway, she doesn't. And this is all just a matter of like 3 or 4 months, I guess. Well, anyway, about 3 weeks ago, I was talking to her about it, and I said, hey, it's kind of getting to be excessive. And anyway, she basically ignored it. And shortly after, we were having a conversation. I asked her if she had feelings for this person, and she got quiet. And then I said, you do, don't you? And she said, yes. Well, it's kind of odd because I can't fathom it because I've asked her questions. She doesn't know a whole lot about this person. She just knows a lot from what she sees on the face of her phone. But she tells me that she loves him. Like, she has strong feelings for him and she loves him. They haven't told each other that. But anyway, it's kind of an odd deal, but before they decided that they had feelings for each other, he had made the comment several times, like, yeah, your husband's pretty cool. We could probably be friends and this and that. Well, I met with him last night, and it was kind of it was a pretty good conversation. He's a pretty intellectual guy. But anyway, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I didn't know I was going to be called on the air. I thought that the screen caller was gonna submit my question for me.
I see.
But anyway, and then of course I'm in the middle of my wife telling me that she wants to leave me, so my head is basically scrambled eggs.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But,
so in this conversation with the guy last night, what, if anything, did you accomplish with that conversation?
Well, it's he has established that he does not want to be that guy. He doesn't. First off, his career would suffer because he's actually in her chain of command.
Okay.
At the place where they work, or he's in her leadership, I should say. It's not.
Did he make any kind of a promise that he was not going to be involved with her anymore, or anything like that?
No. Not that I told him, I said, I don't want you to stop. Deep down, yeah, I want you to stop. I want you to go away. I want you to disappear. But that would hurt my wife, and I don't want that. So because I care enough about her that I don't want her to be hurting from this, we had started seeking marriage counseling, and she made a deal to the counselor while he had us individual, and she told him, well, I'll stop talking to him outside of work. Well, about 5 or 6 days into that, it was getting really rough on our end, and she was harboring resentment towards me because she couldn't talk to her friend, or her guy friend.
So let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying here. You told him that he could continue to have these conversations with your wife. That's what is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, no. I told him, I said, I don't mind y'all being friends. That's not an issue. But
Why is that not an
tell
issue?
him to go away.
Why is that not an issue?
Well, I don't really know, because I don't want to. If I were to go and tell him, look, dude, you just need to disappear, or you need to just stop. My wife, she would be like, no, you're trying to control the
You'd become the
situation,
enemy.
and I'm out.
Don't you think that you're the...
I'm being villainized anyway.
Yeah, since you're being villainized anyway...
I don't...
If you're being villainized anyway, and that's part of the course, that's what happens in these situations, you realize that if she continues to have conversations with this guy, it continues to feed these emotions and help to intensify them. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of that?
Well, I asked her, I said, I told her, I said, my biggest concern is you talking to him a bunch and solidifying what y'all got. And she's like, there is no solidifying what we've got. I already feel the way I feel for him.
Yes, but you are also speaking to someone who's not living in logic right now. So I don't know that I would get my, of course she's not going to say, the opposite of that. She's not going to say, yes, the more we talk, the more I fall in love with him. Because she knows she's not supposed to be doing it anyway.
Yeah, whatever she says to you is going to be things that would help to facilitate continuing to have conversations with him. If he was willing, if he was saying, well, I don't want to be that guy, I want to get out of this, then that's really his choice. Mm-hmm. And for you to even suggest, well, no, that'll hurt her, maybe you should continue to talk to her, that actually is controlling, believe it or not. Because if he's saying, I don't want to be that guy, mm-hmm. and I need to do something about this, then saying, it's your choice. Obviously, I can't stop you from communicating with my wife. There's no way I could stop that. But if you choose not to do that because you feel it's the right thing to do for you, then I certainly honor that. Will she get angry? Sure. Well, she might hold it. Might she hold that against you? Sure. But my guess is it's not going to be a whole lot worse than what it is right now. She's telling you, I'm in love with the guy, and all those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. I understand you trying not to hurt her. I really get that, and to some degree I appreciate that. Yeah. But I don't think that was the wisest course of action.
But I also don't think that this is not hurting her. I think short term, the focus is this isn't going to hurt her today, tomorrow, in the next couple of weeks, maybe even the next couple of months. But long term, you're putting her in a situation where she's going to continue to battle these feelings, and just what she's going to go through emotionally, the psychology, just all of it. I think more damage is going to happen to her long term if these two things continue to happen.
Right. And we appreciate people not being dominated and controlling. I mean, we really do understand that. But the fact that the conversation already happened anyway, and he was saying he doesn't want to be that guy, I don't see this being a dominating and controlling to say, thank you, I'm glad you're leaving the picture. Mm-hmm. I think in your effort not to lose your wife, you may be feeding more of these emotions into your wife. And I know that you don't mean that. I'm not saying you're a bad guy. But if it were I, and you have to make your own decisions. Everybody has to make their own decisions. But if it were I wouldn't be doing anything that would encourage the two of them having any further conversations with each other. And if she gets angry about that, I would accept that as being part of the course, that we're going to go through some rough times. There are going to be some rough waters we go through if we're going to put this thing back together. But the sooner he stops reciprocating, the sooner he stops feeding these emotions back to her, then the sooner that limerence thing is eventually going to end. Mm-hmm. It won't end day one. Mm-hmm. It'll actually exacerbate to begin with, like we were saying to Manuel in Brazil. It'll actually get stronger to begin with if he cuts off contact with her. But it will at some point finally fade. And until that does, as Kimberly says, I like the way you phrase it, she's not living in logic. Mm-hmm. Now, people in deep emotions do whatever they can to continue those emotions. Mm-hmm. And so you don't expect them to be the sources of great logic or even great advice.